today I'm going to show you how to make, using all these tomatoes and onions that I've got chopped up, and of course garlic and some carrot. We're going to do a 2-in-1 deal. I've got 2 crock pots set up here. One for marinara, one for some hot sauce. And you're going to notice that it's nearly all the same ingredients. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, get in my crock pot plugged in. And I'm going to put about, into my big crock pot, I've got a big one and a small one, about 4 pounds of tomatoes here. About 2 tablespoons of olive oil goes into my big crock pot, which is going to be my marinara. We're going to make marinara and salsa or hot sauce. Into the marinara one goes in about 1/2 cup of carrot. And that, go ahead and get started on high while we do the rest. Okay, got the blender out. This right here makes no chopping, makes everything extremely easy and a nice smooth finished product. So what I'm going to do, so in goes 1, 2, 3 tomatoes, not even going to peel them, not going to seed them or anything like that. Some onion, and every time I do that I'm going to put in a clove of garlic. And let it go. Oops, I already got a stuck tomato. Okay. Okay, that took a while for the first one. Okay, so into one of the crock pots it goes. Again, same exact layering. Don't worry about the colors being different, because as tomatoes cook, they get nice and darker. Plus I'm using orange tomatoes, I'm using some yellow tomatoes, so I used what was on sale at the grocery store. Maybe if I cut the tomato in half, it'll blend a little bit easier. Looky there, getting smarter as I go. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to keep pouring it into the crock pot. We got the carrots going on high right here. We got all these tomatoes and onion and garlic to keep going. Okay, I've got all of it finally blended up, put in the deal. But since I like my marinara really garlicky, I'm going to add in another 3 cloves of garlic that I just sliced. Just goes right on top. Since I already have the garlic out, I'm going to use it. And into my salsa, I like mine a little bit chunky, so I have some more onion chopped up. It goes right on top. Okay, now we're going to turn the heat on to these both on low now. This one was on high because of the carrot. Both go on low for about an hour before we start to the next step. Alright, it's been about an hour and a half. You can see there's still bunches of air bubbles in our stuff, but that's fine. That's going to cook away. Don't worry about it. Don't worry me yet. Now we're going to add a few things to these to make these their own dish now. Okay. Into my marinara, I'm going to be adding 1/2 cup of chicken stock and about 1/4 cup of bell pepper. And into my salsa, I'm going to be adding again another about 1/4 cup of bell pepper and about 1/4 cup of jalapenos. Now this is where you add as much or as least amount of the peppers and stuff that you like. Now if you're wanting to make an all vegetarian marinara, of course you're not going to use chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock, and it's just another flavor enhancer. So I'm going to poke these down, and I'm going to let this go for another hour with the lids off, because we want all the moisture to evaporate out and to give us more flavor. Another thing that I'm going to add, I'm not even going to stir it in right now, is tomato paste. This is what makes this taste like it came from a restaurant. So you're going to add in, what is that, about a full tablespoon? And over here I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons. And this is just extra concentrated tomato. So there's 1, 2. Okay, I'll take it back. I'm going to stir them in just a little bit, but again, we haven't even added salt or pepper yet to these, and there's a reason why. Because once it concentrates down, that's when you start getting the seasoning right. So, stir these up, hour and a half, lids off, low heat. We'll come back. Alright, now we're going to prepare just a few more things for our deal. In here, I've got actually 2 of these with fresh corn off of the cob that I just did. Now I'm going to slice up a few mushrooms for my marinara. Now I like to cut mine into smaller pieces because I use small pasta a lot, and you want to have the same size pieces in your pasta. Mushrooms are what I'm using instead of meat in this recipe, simply because it's better for you than using a lot of red meat, and I like to eat vegetarian sometimes. And these have lots of nutrients in them. Alright, so I'm going to finish chopping these up, and then we'll add them into the pot. Alright, we've got everything nice and chopped up, but I said I was going to chop up the mushrooms and the corn. Now I'm going to add them in. There's my mushrooms. And here's my corn for my salsa. Now I'm just going to stir these in. In here I'm going to add about a teaspoon of oregano and a teaspoon of anise seeds. Over here I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper. Okay, so we got those in the pot. We're going to let these go for about another hour on high. But until then, we can start getting stuff ready for the last bit. They're both going to require some parsley. So let's get some parsley chopped up. Now we're going to cut up enough for both here at the same time. A little parsley. First thing I'm going to do is cut the stems off. Throw those away. Now if you're making stock, keep those for stock. Wad it all up into a big old ball. And run your knife through it. Always be careful. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. That's why I use a ceramic one. Very sharp. Most of it is going to go into my marinara bowl, and about a tablespoon of it is going to go into my salsa. Okay. Well, got here some cilantro, nice big pile of it. This is going in my salsa. Same deal. Cut it up nice and fine. Putting fresh herbs into something that's cooked all day long just really brightens it up and brings it right back. So I got about 2 tablespoons of this here chopped up into with my little bit of parsley for that. And I'm going to try to get as much as I can off the board. I don't want cilantro in my marinara. And the last thing I'm going to need is some basil. Now, if you don't have fresh, that's okay. Use dried, but use less dried than you would if you're using fresh. Stems go off. entire thing here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be doing some cooking here with some pasta here in a little bit. So I'm going to save myself a sprig to garnish with. I'm just going to use the rest of this here. Because it is going to cook for a little bit, so it will cook down a little bit. But not too much. Just cutting stems off. And it smells so good. This is really good in lemonade if you want to try something different. Save the stems, put those in a pitcher of lemonade or Bellini dressing. It really changes it up and makes it so much different. And good. Okay. So now we got fresh herbs. This one's going into my lot. But anyway, the perfect amount for our entree. So into the bowl that goes for that. And since they're both green and it's hard to tell the difference, I'm going to put my one that I'm garnishing with later in there. And I can clean my cutting board. Alright, like I said, 30 more minutes on these. We're going to let go on high. Just, like I said, we're still reducing. You can see it's just boiling away there. It's reducing down. Now, the amazing thing is it's reduced down to here because it was full, remember, when we first started? But then we put the mushrooms in, which brought it back up. We put the chicken stock in, which brought it back up. We reduced it down again. Same thing with our salsa. It's got the peppers, it's got the onions, it's got the tomatoes, it's got the corn in there. And just to finish this up right here, I'm going to take a little bit of, it's kind of hard to say the name of it, but it's white pear balsamic vinegar. I'm going to put about half a teaspoon in each one, and this helps just keep things from spoiling or while it's in the refrigerator or anything like that. So half a teaspoon into each one. Alright, it's time to add in the finishing touches. Okay. Remember, I have the basil and the parsley here. First of all, let's turn the heat off of these. Okay. Basil and parsley. Boom. Freshness. Okay. And this one we've got cilantro and parsley. They don't want to come out of the bowl very well. There we go. Gonna add some fresh ground black pepper to both of these. I like a lot of pepper. Once we got the pepper in there, it's time to add in some sea salt. Now it's going to take a bunch because we have not seasoned this at all, and nothing that we put in has been seasoned either. Actually, use more in there. There you go. It's almost like a tablespoon, okay? Lots of strong flavors in here. Okay, the heat's off. Stir it in. Now you have finished marinara with mushrooms. Fresh stuff. No high fructose corn syrups in here. Stuff that you know is good for you went into both of these recipes. And we made them at the same time using the same ingredients nearly. Fresh salsa goes great with corn chips on top of stuff that you may want to cook. It's a healthy alternative to other things. Put it on burgers instead of mayonnaise or even instead of ketchup because, again, there's no of those artificial sweeteners in this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use this really quickly. Okay, so now we're going to use the marinara that we just made. So I've got a plate ready. I've got my pasta al dente. It's nearly ready to go. I've got a tiny bit of butter, a little bit of oil, and a little bit extra salt in here for me. Warming up. And now, let me show you how we're going to make a serving for one. So I'm just going to use measuring cup. It's a fourth of a cup. Believe it or not, That is all the sauce you need for a single person. In it goes. Now I'm just going to take my al dente noodles, scoop them out with a slotted spoon into the sauce it goes. It's okay if a little bit of the pasta water gets in here, we're going to cook it off. Okay, let this go for 30 seconds. The last little bit of water is evaporating out of here. The pasta is finishing up and soaking up the tomato juices. Like I like to do this right here just to make sure I can see that everything's getting soaked up. Almost done. So, let's get ready to plate. Okay, so what I like to do to plate mine up is tiny bit of Parmesan cheese goes actually into the dish so that it melts in. Give that a quick little move around. Okay, it's into the dish. It's nice and melted around. Touch extra black pepper for me, told you I like a lot. Salt. Heat off. And onto your plate. Easy as that. Now we're going to finish with, we're going to make it look pretty and garnish it. So let me grab my garnish. I got some extra chopped up basil and parsley. On that goes. Nice fresh lemony. And again, just a touch of Parmesan right on top. There you go. We just used our stuff that we just made. Fresh, wholesome, good for you. Can't beat that. So, I want you to give it a try, taste it, let me know what you do differently, and tell me if you liked my recipe or not.